There we go. All right. All right. So, those that I just turned the recording on for, you welcome, welcome again. I'm Brenda. This is going to be a short, heartfelt conversation. It's not a webinar, it's not a summit, no slides. I'm going to be sharing heart to heart something that I think can really transform how you do business. So I asked to put in the chat if business feels heavy, and many of you said heavy, and one of you said, yeah, it's new for me and it feels heavier than I expected, right? A couple of you, I love that. So what I want to tell you is that if business feels heavy, it's not because you're not called. That's the first thing. I get so many women saying, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Maybe God's not calling me to this. And I want to say to you, that's not why it's feeling heavy. And it's not because you're not capable. Most of you that I meet are brilliant. I mean, you've just got so much gold in you. But what it is that you're doing things that you've been taught or you've seen online that has been promoted. There's stuff that just gets regurgitated and regurgitated, and it's out of sequence. It's out of sequence, okay? And you see, for years, women have been taught, more content, just get the content out there, have big launches, have summits, you need visibility, you need more effort, you got to hit it hard at the beginning. So much of this is coming from heavy duty bro marketing, right? And it's pouring just thousands, tens of thousands into advertising, and it's huge teams. And then the average solopreneur or entrepreneur that's got a small, medium-sized team, it's just like overwhelming. It's a giant juggling act, right? And it's exhausting. And you can say me if I'm talking to somebody here, right? I want to hear it's exhausting. And so what I want to share today is that multiplication was never meant to feel like striving. Those of you that have followed me for any length of time know my absolute passion is to equip faith-based women to build profitable, yes, making money profitable so you can do for your family and do for the world what you're called to do, profitable, faith integrated businesses. This has been my passion since 2012. Before 2012, I was running a multi-seven-figure nutritional network, international nutritional network marketing company. It was my passion then. And so I want you to know that today I'm going to show you why it's feeling heavy. And I'm going to show you a different way. And my prayer is you're just going to take an exhale. In fact, let's do that together right now. Just take a deep breath and just let it all out. That's what today's meant to be, a moment of peace. We're going to talk about how Jesus built and how it's relevant for business today, right? I'm going to share a simple, I emphasize simple. That's not that you're lazy or you're not working, but it's like we're going to pull out the complicated. We're going to do a simple relational system that's it's working like, honestly, Holy Spirit magic. I'm going to share just some of the most recent testimonies how it's working. Like it is truly going faster than women expect, and it's just a breath of fresh air. So before I do that, I want to reframe something, okay? Because those of you that know my success formula, it's this. And when I coach, it's this: mindset plus skill set plus right action equals results. Okay, so that would be M plus S plus A equals R. Mindset plus skill set plus right action equals results. The results, the impact, the income, right? The fulfillment. It's an equation. Everything on the left affects everything on the right. So today, like any conversation I have, we're going to be going between mindset and skill set and exact action because that's what determines the results. So, to talk about the mindset, I want to take you back a little bit, a story. This is a little bit of a reframe. And I'll tell you where the reframe and why I'm sharing this story. There's a reason. So often I hear women say, I hate social media. I hate posting. I don't like Facebook. I don't like blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I felt the same way. But I want to give you a little reframe as somebody who has been in business a lot over 30 years. I'm not going to tell you how many years over 30 years. I'm just going to say a lot over 30 years that I have been an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur. And so I'm going to take you back to late 80s, early 90s, when I was building a corporation, an international nutritional network marketing corporation. I want to take you back, okay? And I want you to go with me. Maybe some of you are old enough that can remember this. I was building long before social media. I remember when the first social media came out. I was building before the internet, sisters, like when everybody thought the world was going to crash and burn and everybody was going to hell when the internet came live. Any of you were around during that time, right? And I certainly was around before Zoom. So, how did we build? We built with telephones. Yep, they were hooked to a wall. They were telephones, right? We used to even have to dial, right? And box answering machines that you came home and you pushed the play button. It was a little cassette recording and it was answering machines. And if you wanted to reach people, I was on the cutting edge with telephone. I was doing telesummits. Any of you remember telesummits? And when you wanted to meet someone, you got dressed, you left your house. In fact, you didn't even let people know if you worked from your house. That was shameful, right? You kept that a secret, right? And you got full on dressed, you got in your car and you drove to meet someone, whether they showed up or not. Any of you remember that? And building an international corporation in order to gather people, we used hotel conference rooms. You worked with catering. You had to book way in advance. You had to pay a big non-refundable deposit. Let me just say, it was hard. Hard. Okay? Now let's talk about today. Let's a little reframe, talk about today. You and I, we can serve, we can bring our gifts to the entire world right from our home. Past generations would have given their eye tooth for this opportunity. If you know anything about me, I get dressed for Zoom from the top half. If you come to my house at any given time, I'm always in yoga pants and fuzzy socks. Today I'm wearing my tan fuzzy socks. Anybody know what I'm talking about? What a privilege. What a privilege. So, we don't have a social media problem. We have a mindset problem because for years I've had the saying, the privilege of the platform. I want you to let that sink in for a minute as we go forward because what I'm sharing with you is going to be peaceful, love-filled, joy-filled, building the way Jesus built. And we've got to start with the right mindset to be able to do that, right? Fuzzy socks, part of the corporate benefit. You guys, if you want to send me gifts, I never have enough fuzzy socks. Okay, just send me the fuzzy socks. I love it. So the privilege of the platform for me, that used to mean stages. I've spoken on large stages, right? With Brian Tracy, with Les Brown. That was the privilege of the platform in a big ballroom. Now we have the privilege of the platform, social media platforms. And so when you stop seeing this as a chore and you stop seeing people as a metric, let this sink in, and you start seeing them as daughters. Daughters, I love the fuzzy socks. Daughters that God loves. If you're reaching out to women, sons, if you're reaching out to men, so that suddenly what we get to do, it's not what I have to do, it's a privilege of what I get to do. I get to use the gifts God has given me, the lessons I've learned, the experience, the education, and I get to touch lives all over the world, and it costs me nothing. I mean, minimal for Zoom, right? Like whatever minimal you're paying to have a Zoom account, it costs nothing. When you come from this perspective, peace enters. This is a mindset, because without the right mindset, it becomes a strain. Are any of you picking up what I'm putting down? Can you just stop for a second and feel? I get to touch the world. I want to cry when I think what God opened up. I was talking to a woman last week who went through ministry school to be in the mission field and go travel far and wide. And there's a place for that. I get that. But I was telling her, sister, this is the mission field for you to bring your gifts, bring hope, bring healing, bring inspiration. This is it right here online. She says, I never thought about it like that. That alone is the mindset I want to share that can change how you go about your day. Thank you for the hearts. I love that. Okay, let's get a little bit into the skill set. Let's talk about, let's name, let's get some clarity around what's not working. You see, most women have been taught just, okay, come up. They'll say to me, I got to figure out my offer. And they're like pulling it out of their head. I don't know, pulling it out of their butt. They're coming up with an offer that they think will work. And so we're told to start with offers before we have clarity. And because you got to offer something to make money, right? And thank you. I love the chats. And we're taught to build wide before we build close. And and when it comes to niche, I everybody says, "Oh yeah, I've got a niche." Okay, let's get clarity on your niche. What's your niche? Women over 50? Gulp. And that's not a niche, that's half the world. Right? So we don't even have clarity about who we serve. Women over 50 or Christian women over 50 is not a niche. Okay, it's a stab at it. And then it gets even less clear if I say, what's the now problem that your ideal client has? What's keeping them up at night right now? What's the now problem? 9 out of 10 can't answer. They tell me what they think their client needs, but is that the client's words? Is that something the client has been praying for? No. And then here's the biggie. They spend 90% of their energy on people that are not buyers. Let's just think about that for just a second. At any given moment, statistically across industries, we've got 10% of people are ready to buy, to make a buying decision. 10%. That means 90% is not. And of that 10%, by the way, 3% are ready right now, and 7% can get ready. But we're talking 10%. Now, if we're going wide and we're going visibility and we're talking to everybody, we're spending so much energy on 90% of people that aren't even ready to buy. Can you see where we've got some challenges and why we might get exhausted? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Okay. So we need a system. Part of the system I want to share with you is for spotlighting your niche and spotlighting your niche that is a buyer that's ready to buy. Do you think that might make your life easier if that's who you were talking to? Your exact soul tribe that God's called you to work with, and they're ready to buy? You think that might make life a little easier? And you're coming in with the mindset of serving, like we just talked about, and gratitude. So let's look at the Jesus model right now. Let's look at the Jesus model. You see, Jesus had access to the crowds. Yes or yes? Jesus had access to the multitudes. The Bible calls the crowds multitudes. Let's be biblical. He had access to the multitudes, but he didn't work on scaling the multitudes. He didn't spend his energy growing the multitudes. Just think about that for a minute. He focused on building intimacy. From the thousands, he spotlighted. By the power of the Holy Spirit, he spotlighted 12. And even think about that, from the multitudes, he spotlighted 12. And even within that, he had 3, an inner circle that got the deepest revelation. They got to watch him, on the Mount of Transfiguration. They got the deep, deep stuff. So from 12 and even from 3, world transformation. You see, multiplication happened from proximity. You might want to write that down. Multiplication happened from proximity, not pressure. Proximity, not pressure. So I want to talk about a similar model today. And I would show a picture, but I'm live streaming into Facebook right now, into the Total Soul Prosperity group. And you can't share the screen and do all of that on Zoom. Okay, so you're going to use your imagination with me, and I'm going to try to describe this, and I'm going to break it down to give you some clarity. We're going to talk circles. When we're talking proximity, we're going to think multitudes, and then we're going to think an outer circle. Are you with me? And then we're going to think an inner circle. And then we're going to think a micro group. And then we're going to talk the teeniest intimate group. You follow me? This is how we're going to build. And so we're going to start with a system of outreach that is so love-filled and so God-filled. Okay. And this is how outreach looks for me. I go from the golden hour to overflow hour. Golden hour to overflow hour. So the golden hour is non-negotiable, in my opinion. That's my first hour minimum with God. Those of you just getting started, maybe you have 5 minutes with God. Maybe you have 15. You're starting a new habit, okay? But the more you do it, the more you're going to love. And this is going to be your time with God. And this is where you're getting filled up. This is when I'm praying and meditating and reading and journaling, and I'm hearing from God. And so I call this the golden hour that I start my day. Okay, now I'm full. From that fullness of the golden hour, it's from that fullness that I'm going to give, right? Scripture says that out of our bellies, right, flow living waters. Scripture says that out of the heart flow the issues of life. So when we go and reach out to our ideal client, we're coming from a place of fullness and overflow. We're not coming from a place of lack and scarcity and fear. Again, that's a mindset thing. We're not going, okay, I got to go prospect. I got to go get some clients. I got to make some money. I got to get. All right, I'm going to go get. And you feel that energy online, and it's not peaceful, and it's exhausting. It feels scummy to you. It feels scummy to them. But imagine if instead from the golden hour, you're coming into the overflow hour. And so this is a very specific form of outreach that we do on social media. Now, as we go out in that overflow, and I've got a specific system. I don't have time to teach every single detail in this short conversation. I want you to get the big picture and some clarity. So from the golden hour to the overflow, we have a spotlighting technique. So now I'm going to reach out to my niche who is a buyer. I'm only spotlighting. That's who I'm reaching out to. And I'm reaching out with love and value and genuine relationship building, connecting. Okay. I'm talking in this particular example on Facebook, but I've got people doing it on LinkedIn. It's different. I got people doing it on Substack. It's different. I'm going to talk specifically today about Facebook because Meta, whether you like it or not, really rewards what I'm teaching. In other words, you're going to be going with the tide and not against the tide. It rewards it. Okay. So from the multitude to the outer circle is going to be your Facebook community, your Facebook group. And you may have one, you may not have one, but chances are you're doing it wrong. Chances are you're just adding anybody and you're treating it like your profile or any other, and you're just putting content in there. And this is completely different. When you build the Facebook community, and I build it with my clients very strategically from the name to it's like coming, inviting them into your home. What do they see first? To the welcome video, to the welcome post, to the questions that you ask. This is by design. It's not by accident, okay? And so this Facebook group, this Facebook community, think of this as your trust building container. This is your trust. When we're making circles, this is your trust building container. It's not a content hub. It's a place of safety. It's a place of belonging. It's a place of becoming that in my case, I work with, faith-based female entrepreneurs. So I'm talking women, when I'm talking to each one of you, it's a place that women can step into their true identity. It's a place that they're moving forward. They're becoming. Okay. And this is so powerful because, like I said, from the minute they get welcomed in, there's even the first post based on the questions that they answer. Like this is a place of connection. So you've heard on all the studies that people need like 8, 12, 15 touches before they buy. Okay. We've already covered a lot of touches. We covered the touches when we connected. Now we're bringing them in this community. There's a bunch of built-in touches, and it's a place of safety and trust, and they can come in and they can exhale and they can feel part of something. Okay. And now we're going to go in a little bit more, and it starts getting really magical in our circle. We're going to have micro rooms. We're going to be having micro events. Again, just like the Facebook group is different than your profile, different than your business page, it's treated differently. These micro events are part of this breathe deeply, build with peace way of building. This micro event, it's not a summit. Look, I've done summits all my life. It's not a launch. Look, I've done 5, 6, 7, 10-day launches many, many, many times. It's not that. It's not a webinar. It's not an evergreen webinar. I want you to separate in your mind what it is, okay? It's a small room. We don't need hundreds. We need 10 to 20 in a room, okay? So here's the structure. Let me start building the structure for you so you can get clarity around this. Okay. First thing, before you can do anything, and I alluded to this, but I'm going to like hit this strong because everything falls apart if you don't have this. Okay. It has to start with clarity. Okay. So you have to know exactly who you serve. And you have to know exactly the now problem that they're struggling with that you solve. And you have to know how you solve it uniquely. That's your unique selling proposition, okay? And you need to have clarity on what you offer based on that now problem, okay? And based on that, you have an irresistible offer. So we've got this in place before we start. We're coming from a place of clarity. If any of you don't have that, we need to just talk first, okay? To make sure that you've got that clarity. And I actually start even before the niche, I start a step even back from that. I tap into your God-given vision and your God-given goals, dreams, and desires. And from there, who he's called you to serve, the problem he's called you to solve, etc. Okay, then from there, we build this relational container. Okay, in this case, we're talking a Facebook community, okay, a Facebook group. Okay, so out of clarity, why do we have to clarity first? Because it's even about how you name the group. It's even about who you're inviting. This is not for everybody. This is like your home and you're having a private party. You don't go and put signs everywhere and some come into my living room. That's the feeling with this. Okay, so you've got to understand that this is a relational container that we're building and we're selectively inviting. We're not inviting everybody. Okay, by invitation only. Okay, from there, we're going to host a live conversation, 45 to 50 minutes short. No slides, no presentations, no complicated, no funnels, no advertising. It's going to be a conversation that solves one problem. Okay. These micro events, 10, 20 women done very correctly, okay, produce $5, $50, $100,000 per event, rinse and repeat. I promise. It's working like a dream. This system combined from the golden hour to the overflow to the community, inviting to a micro event, we're going to come in a little tighter using an inner chat even before the event starts. Now, all of you that are here, you experienced it. How many of you were in my messenger chat group? Say me. Were you in my messenger chat group? Say me. Okay. And what I want to know is, did you feel before the event ever started? Did you feel connected? Did you realize you're not alone? There's 52 other women in there. Did you feel seen and heard? Did you feel safe? Valerie says, I felt seen. I felt seen and heard. Just pause for a second and think about if you create this. Holly says, yes, thank you. Janelle says, safe too. Okay. So everything that you're experiencing, because I don't teach anything that I don't do. Okay. And so more connected, didn't share, but I felt safe to show up, trusted I would learn something. Now, I want you to just stop and think about this. By the time you came to this event, by the time your ideal person comes to this event, think about how many touches from your overflow that we continue on, touches in your community, and many steps in there. They got a video, they got a welcome message, there's ways you're connecting in there, touches as they are in this group. And you notice I was talking to you each day personally from a place of heart and love, and you were talking to each other, and you're looking around going, ooh, there's a lot of women here, like I'm not the only one here that feels this way. There was already community, there was already, do you feel the magic in this? This is how Jesus did this over meals in homes, right? He had these private chats happening, right? We're doing it online, but just think about this, okay? So that by the time you come to an event, it's not cold. There's already trust built. Any of you that this is your first time seeing me, okay, say first time and tell me if you already felt connected and already felt like you knew me before we ever got to this conversation. I really want to hear this. This will help me. If you're new to me and you've experienced this, I would love to hear that, because yes, first time, welcome, Valerie. And so did you already feel a sense of know, like, and trust before you ever got here? You see how beautifully you can provide this for your women. You see, first time joining on Zoom. I'm new to you and I've experienced the warmth and the support. Okay, this is what we're creating. Do you see how this is a breath of fresh air? We're not grinding. We're not hustling. This is not a bro club or a takeoff off the bro club. You are fully in your own heart, your own self connected to God. And guess what? No funnels, no ads, no tech stacks. Okay. I'm going to introduce you to people who are doing this. And really, I tell people because I get them off a bunch of complicated stuff because it's burning women out. Okay. And it's costing them, it's nickeling and diming them everywhere. Here's what you need a Zoom account. You need a Facebook account, and we're going to create the Facebook group. And you need one super simple app that's going to cost you $20 a month. Okay. And later, as you're adding clients, it's going to cost you maybe $5 to $7 a paying client. Okay. And it's going to do everything: your call scheduling, your links, your collecting money, delivering your courses, supporting them. That's all we need. That's it. Three things: no advertising, no CRMs. When you get bigger, we can add some CRMs, no tech stacks. Okay. I just love this. Let's see, Emily, I enjoyed the connection via Messenger by you. And it was nice and warm approach. Yes. Yes. Don't you want every one of your potential clients to feel that, to feel loved, to feel held, to feel that they're seen, they're heard, they can trust you before you open your mouth? Look, have I sold you anything? Zero. Have I made you any offers, sold you anything? Zero. But have we had time to build a relationship before I've even done a micro event? I want you to experience this so that you can live it. Because guess what? These micro events, these simple conversations are producing 5, 10, 20, $50,000 a pop using the exact system that I'm teaching. No hype, just structure. So let me share with you what happens when it's implemented. I like using real examples. So I'm going to take my most recent client. Well, yeah, I think I have a couple that are just about to start. They haven't, they're paying and they're starting. So I'm going to say most recent coaching client. Okay. And I want to introduce you to her. Her name is Sarah. And if you've been around me, you might have met her. She has given her testimony. She's been with me, I don't know now, maybe 6, 7 weeks. The testimony I'm going to give you is within her first 4 weeks. Okay. She's got a hard audience. She's a lawyer. She runs Lady Lawyer Liberation. And so these are private people. Are they going to just start speaking up and talking on social media? Probably not. And okay, now let's talk about this. When she came to me, she had no leads. She says, I've been trying for 2 years. I don't have leads. She didn't have clients. Um, we very quickly got her started. I'm going to read you. She had no pipeline. I'm going to read you her testimony as she texted it to me. Her words, exactly. I haven't changed a single word. She says, I want to give you this because she says, I've never experienced anything like this in just 4 weeks. She says, I've been very confident in my work and what I can do for clients. Probably most of you feel that way. You know you've got a gift to bring to your clients, and she does too. She's brilliant. Harvard educated lawyer. She's brilliant. Okay. She says, but I've struggled to get a pipeline of clients for years. And it wasn't because she wasn't trying. She was out there doing everything she'd been taught. She said, I've never been able to figure out how to get folks to come to me. I signed up with Brenda, and in 1 month of working together, everything has changed. At this point, when she wrote this, she had 32 hot leads. By the way, we also, not even counting, we got her on LinkedIn. I taught her how to do a good newsletter once a week with a subscription. She instantly got up to 200 subscriptions. So if we're talking warm leads, those are some more that we could, but these are warm leads, hot leads. 32 at the time of writing this. It's much more now. I'll catch you up. She said, Brenda helped me design 32 registrations to the workshop Brenda helped me design. Now, let me see. 12 and 27, do the math. It's actually 39 right now that are registered for her micro events. She's done two that Brenda helped me design. She said clients are signing up, and for the first time, people are direct messaging me to learn more. She said, I used to hope and pray for referrals. Now I'm on track for consistent $15,000 to $18,000 months. And for the first time, I can comfortably integrate my faith into my business. Brenda's Prosper in All Things has changed the game for me, and I couldn't be more excited or grateful. I bring that because this isn't an old testimony. I've got lots of, 90-day wonders where we get to six figures in 90 days, or 1 year wonders where we get to six figures over a year. But this is my newest. I wanted to bring something fresh, following to the T what I'm teaching you. Nothing else. Nothing else, just doing exactly what I'm teaching you. So let that sink in for a second, right? Over 30 registrations, new clients enrolled, prospects DMing her, on track for $15,000 to $18,000 months, and integrating her faith fully. She had no pipeline. We did no advertising. She does not have a website. She is not using a CRM. She is not using a tech stack. She's using the three things that I have been teaching you. Does that give you a little breath of fresh air? Can you breathe? Do you feel how that you don't need more information? You don't need to grind harder. You need alignment. You need a system, and you need an order. Some of you wrote the question and you said, what do you mean by an order, right? And this is what I mean, okay? I often think of this example. Imagine yourself, you're in a coffee shop and you're just sitting there having your mocha latte, whatever. And a guy sits down next to you and he's reasonable looking enough. And he looks at you and he says, you are so beautiful. And you say, thank you. And he pulls out of his pocket and he pulls a ring, and it's a beautiful diamond, like 3-carat diamond ring. And he says, I want to marry you. You're going to probably be pretty freaked out, probably move to a different seat. And I doubt, unless you just really want the ring, I doubt you're going to respond to that, right? You might say, sure, give me the ring and I'll see you later, right? But seriously, because he was doing a right thing out of order. Imagine instead if he would have said, where are you from? And he sat and he had a nice conversation. And at the end, he says, I've enjoyed this conversation so much. Can I take you to lunch? I've got this favorite restaurant. Would you come to lunch with me? And chances are you might say yes and exchange numbers. And then you have this amazing lunch. And then he says, I've never had so much fun. Do you like walking? Because there's my favorite walking trail, this lake. Can we spend the day? Can we have a picnic and go? You'd probably say yes, right? And from there, an evening, and you get the drift. Now, a month later, 3 months later, 6 months later, he pulls that ring out, and you're going to be like, yes, yes, a million times yes, right? The right thing in the right sequence, in the right order. We've been doing it so wrong, and it feels wrong to us, and it feels wrong, but that's what we were taught. Like, there's no shame in our game, but that's what all the bro marketers were teaching. Do you all follow? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Can you feel the difference of these concentric? So we're not going after the multitudes. It's not about massive visibility and massive content. It's very specific content, right? And then we're coming in and we're building this safe community with the Facebook group. And then we're coming in and we're teaching these micro events that are just valuable and give a perspective on solving a problem. And then before we even have the event, we have this intimate time of interacting with you to know, like, and trust you, interact with each other. So by the time we show up, we can have something like what you're experiencing today. How does that, can you feel the difference in that? Can you feel the difference in that? So I want to land this clearly. I want to keep it myself under the 50 minutes and model this for you. What you've seen today is not hype. It's not about, inspiration, although it can be inspiring, but it's a system. And I shared with you mindset, skill set, action. It's a mindset, it's a skill set, and I really go through the skill set for each of those steps, how to do these steps. And it's an action that makes sense, a right action that produces results. And when those are in order, it works. And when they're not, then you just end up multiplying striving, but the revenue doesn't change, right? So this model works because it's the way that Jesus did things. It's relational, it's focused, it's very energy efficient. We're not working with the 90% that aren't ready, that aren't our niche. It's built on people ready for what you have to offer. You're conserving their energy, you're conserving your energy. It's built on small rooms so that it's scalable. I want to tell you a story. I talk about the large network marketing company that I built in 2012. To be transparent with all of you, I went through a very difficult divorce and I left everything behind. So my ex has all of that. I moved into an empty rental and I started with nothing. Okay. I started Prosper in All Things in 2012. I left everything behind: houses, boats, cars, businesses, multi seven figure businesses. Okay. I left everything behind. And I thought I was going to start in the speaking world, to be honest, because I had spoken on a lot of large stages. So I hired a speaking coach that was filling massive ballrooms. I flew into Las Vegas to get coached by him because I wanted to know. I knew how to do that in network marketing, but I didn't know as a speaker, just cold, nobody knows me, I've got no pipeline. How can I fill a room like that and speak? Which many of you that know my story, I was so countercultural in 2012. I started with 3 live events. The first event was God, money, and me. 3 words you don't even put together. And man, I had the Christians mad at me. I had the New Agers mad at me. The Christians were mad because I charged $597 for the event. And the New Agers were mad because I was talking about Jesus. I mean, it was a hot mess, but we filled the room, right? God, money, and me. Then I did God, health, and me. And then I did God, love, and me. Then I did a series of master classes, and people asked me to coach, and I started doing a lot of business coaching since 2012. I've been mentoring in business for decades. So I go and I spend all this money to go to Las Vegas to find out how to fill these rooms. And we're sitting at breakfast, I'll never forget. And it was in a hotel, and the breakfast was up kind of a level, and you could look down and you could see all the meeting rooms below. You could see the big triple ballroom that he filled up. You could see the little small conference rooms. And he says, "Do you know how I fill that room?" And he was pointing to the big 3 rooms. And I said, "No, tell me." He said, "By filling this room." It was a little conference room that held 10, 15, 20 people. And he would do that. And it was from there that he said, "I don't figure out how to fill 1,000, how to bring 1,000 people into a room. I figure out 10 ways to bring 100, or I figure out how to bring by the tens. I've never forgotten that. And I thought back immediately to my own experience here. I built a global network marketing corporation, and I myself had started with three people: Roger, Steve, and Marty. Marty was a woman. And in a little small intimate home gathering, built a huge network marketing corporation. So this is not a new concept, but it all began to resonate right now. And so I've been doing this. So I want to talk to you if you're serious about building real momentum in the next 90 days, not someday, not later in the year. I'm going to encourage you to book a business activation call with me. And so, Shaylee and Nicole, if you could put the link. I've even opened up today. I normally stop at noon on Saturdays. Those that know me know I work 3.5 days a week. I've opened up even some today and some Tuesday that I don't normally, so that you can get in, that we can do a business activation call. And we're going to diagnose. I'm going to whiteboard with you, and I'm going to look at where you are. Where are you at right now? What's in place? What have you tried that isn't working? What are you trying to do? And identify your now lever, your now revenue lever. And then I'm going to see if you're a good fit for my 90-day total soul prosperity reset. Total Soul Prosperity 90-day reset. Let me just, so you can know what I do with coaching clients, okay? Let me explain it in 2 minutes. We're going to be done here in the next 2 minutes. Let me explain what I do, and then I'm going to encourage you to talk to me, and we make sure that we get you going this direction. Okay. When I work with someone 90 days, the first thing that I do is clarity. We do a breakthrough business intensive. We're talking one-on-one. I'm not throwing you in a group somewhere. I send you templates in advance to get absolute clarity on your niche, on the now problem, on how you solve it uniquely, on your irresistible offers, on your customer journey, on your vision. And you and I meet and we whiteboard, and you get absolute clarity. Okay. And I've always done this since 2012 as a business breakthrough intensive. Okay. I still do those separately. It may be that that's all you need. And when we talk, I say, you just need clarity, and then run with it. Then you would just do the business breakthrough intensive, and you'd be ready to run with it. Okay. And I could give you the playbook that I've explained today. All right. For those that want the clarity and they want implementation, in other words, now that we're clear, I'm going to hold your hand, one-on-one coaching. Make sure that you've got these pieces in place, okay? And step by step. So final story, and that's the 90-day. You do twice a month coaching, or if you'd like to do every week, we break it into 30 minutes every week. On top of that, you have full access to my Prosper Power Hour, where we pray on Wednesdays, my Prosper office hours, where we do additional strategy, and my full Prosper Vault, which has got massive training, much of which I sold over $3,000. So you're going to have access to that, okay? But right now, that may or may not be for you. I mean, if it's just calling you, great. But what I want you to do is a call, because it may not be for you, honestly, truly. I'm not here to push anything on anybody. It may be just a clarity conversation. It may be that you need a breakthrough intensive. You may just need a small tweak and you're off and running. So book a business activation call with me, okay, to go over that. Going to close with this story, Kate. Kate is another one. She'd worked only in corporate and she wanted to become a consultant. And so Kate came to me and she'd given 90 days notice. She was more in the nonprofit sector, okay, more in the health sector. And so I said, let's do this, because remember, clarity is first. I said, during the 90 days, work with me 90 days. Let's put your entire business in place. So when you leave your corporate job, you're not trying to figure it out. You're like a racehorse out the gate, ready to move forward. And she said, okay. So we spent that 90 days getting clarity. First day out the gate to build her business, she did another 90 days with me. Her goal for the year was to make six figures, 100,000. If she could be at, 10,000 a month at the end of the year, she was going to be super happy. Well, in that 90 days, that second 90 days of coaching, which is the implementation that I'm talking about with you, she made six figures in 90 days. Six figures. Kate made it in 90 days. She ended up finishing the year at 200,000. And let me tell you, that was low because she was up against hurdles. That was during the government shutdown. Remember, she's working in the health and nonprofit sector and writing grants, and the funding dried up, and there was a government shutdown, and we still finished at 200,000. Okay. This year, she's back with me, and we're going for $1 million. All right. Those may be big numbers for you. They may be small numbers for you. I'm not here to hype. I'm here to support you in building a profitable, faith integrated business with peace, without striving, the way that Jesus did it, with relationship, with intimacy. I suspect when we talk, if you could put the link for the business activation call again, I fill up fast. Grab that if you want to have a conversation with me. I suspect I will have you getting rid of so many things. We're going to keep it to 3 simple things. Okay? So I pray that this has blessed you. I pray that you've had a little bit of reframe how you look at reaching out to people. You've had a little bit of a reframe as to what is hard and what is too easy. You've had a little bit of reframe. I believe that God has placed the gold in you and that we can build. And I'm seeing it time and time again. This combination that I just revealed to you of increasing circles, it works. It works brilliantly in this season. So I bless you all. Thanks for joining. Look, we're under an hour. I pray that this felt inspiring and peace-filled and you've got clarity, and I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. This is an exciting, exciting season to be alive, build a business, use the gifts that God has given us to bring change to the world. Lots and lots of love. We'll talk soon.